up, guys? I am going to go over the highly anticipated review of my experiences with the Apple Watch versus the Fitbit. I made a post on Instagram, gosh, it was a long time ago now, the fact that I was switching from the Apple Watch to the Fitbit. I got back on Instagram like a couple hours later. I would have swore I was hacked because I had so many messages of people who were not only like shocked that I was switching from an Apple Watch to a Fitbit, people wanted to know. So I am here. If you are one of those people, here you go, here's my wrap up. I feel like now I can actually give like proper feedback on like my experiences with both of them, especially now because I've actually had a chance to use both of them for a good amount of time. So I feel like now my review will be a little bit more fair. At the end of the day, both of these serve a really good purpose. And I think it just comes down to what your preferences are, what you like, and like what you want a watch for. Like, do you want a smartwatch? Do you want an activity tracker, right? When I made that post, I actually had a girl reach out to me who works at Fitbit, and how she kind of explained it to me makes a lot of sense, and I completely agree with it now after using both of these. An Apple Watch is a smartwatch with some activity tracking capabilities, and that a Fitbit is an activity tracker with some smartwatch capabilities. They definitely both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. Again, I think it just comes down to like, which one do you want more? Or like, what do you want those strengths to be for you in your situation? What do you need? Couple things I want to preface for this. So the Fitbit that I got is the Versa 2. Literally got it like day one when it came out. And the Apple Watch that I have is a Series 2. So it's really old, super outdated. It's actually really even like super slow at this point. I also have the 42mm one, which is a little bit bigger on your wrist. So just to kind of let you guys know like what I'm actually comparing. I also want to mention too that I am an Apple user. I have an iPhone, I've got a Mac, started with the Apple Watch. So I'm definitely prone to like Apple products. I love everything Apple, okay? So I'm one of those people. This is literally my personal experiences with both of these, what I like, what I dislike, because that is what everybody wanted to know when I posted that I was switching, okay? Okay, so let's get into some simple aesthetics because that's important. The Fitbit is a little bit more of like a square screen or square watch face, and the Apple Watch is a little bit more of like a rectangle. I just love all things Apple, right? Like I mentioned that. So I love that it's sleek. I love the look, the watch band. Now, the band on the Fitbit is actually super similar. So I will give Fitbit credit. They like made sure that the watch band would work for Apple users. So I did appreciate that. But with all of that said, like I definitely feel like the Fitbit, if you're an Apple user, you'll know what I mean. Like the Fitbit just has like an Android feel to it, okay? You know what I mean? Like it's just unfamiliar to me. So even like going through and like trying to get stuff set up or using it in general, I just felt like it was a little foreign to me. Where everything on the Apple Watch, it just was like boom, boom, boom. I know what I'm doing because I know how to use Apple products, okay? I will say though that the Fitbit is much lighter than the Apple Watch is. Again, I have the bigger one, so maybe that has something to do with it. But the Fitbit is super, super light. Dare I say, even more comfortable on the wrist. I would have never known that if I hadn't switched from the Apple Watch to the Fitbit. Like I would have never noticed a difference. And I will say that like, so I slept in the Fitbit and I didn't sleep in this. I had never had an issue sleeping in the Fitbit. Like it was comfortable. I think maybe like the first couple nights it was kind of like, oh gosh, I don't ever sleep with my Apple Watch on. So it felt kind of weird, but I got over that literally in a couple of days. I still don't sleep in the Apple Watch. Again, it's heavier. It's just not as comfortable. I don't think it was made to sleep in, right? Because it doesn't sleep track. So something to be said about that. Okay, so that was aesthetics. Now let's get into like pros and cons. Let's talk about the Apple Watch first. So it's Apple. I I've said that a million times already, but like that is a huge pro for me. Love the look. There are different colors, you get different bands and things like that, of course. But I am just prone to get black, like I have black on black in both of these. Just someone to like accessorize with other things with color, but like I want my watch to kind of go with everything, so that's why I like the black. Other pros of the Apple Watch is like it just syncs really well with all of my things. I feel like texts and calls and things like that are very real time onto the Apple Watch. So if I get a text message, it literally like boom is right there on my watch. If I get a call, boom, it's right there on my watch. I also love that I can real-time answer a text message and a call right from my watch too, because my phone is literally like always hiding from Olivia. The fact that I can like literally basically have my phone right on my wrist is super handy. And I also use it for work too, because there's a couple of like apps that we have to use for my full-time job that sync right up here, and I'm able to do that with maybe not having my phone right there with me. It also syncs up really well with like music and podcasts. So I love being like in the middle of my workout and being able to just boop, switch the song super easy, pause my podcast if I'm out for a walk and then I don't know, need to pause my podcast. I just love that I can do it right from here. Now, I will preface and say that like, I know the Fitbit has a way to sync up with Pandora, and I'm sure that there's a way to like have your podcast go on there. I just never figured it out, dug into it, just because again, it was pretty unfamiliar to me. Apparently that challenge was just too much for me to face. So anyways, I didn't do that, but I'm sure maybe there's capabilities. Everything on the Apple Watch also syncs up with the Health app, which I think is super handy. I really like how you can like be friends with other people who have the Apple Watch. You like get a notification that like, oh, so-and-so finished a workout, and you can see like what they did. And I just love that you can send them like a little like, go you, or like a motivational message afterward. I don't know, I just think it's super cute, it's super fun. And let's see, cons, because there are some cons to this thing. Battery life is awful. It's awful, okay? I would say it lasts like 12 to 14 hours, maybe 16, I don't know. I definitely have to charge it every single night. And if I don't charge it every single night, when I wake up in the morning, it's completely dead. And then I'm irritated because I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, really? So that frustrates me, especially because, side note, this is way bigger. So like, why is this battery life so much better than this when this is bigger? It's also heavier, so I just don't get it. But that's a whole nother story. Maybe the newer ones are better. I've heard that the newer ones are like 18 hours of battery life, but still, that still means you have to charge it every single day. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit heavier on the wrist. So if that is a concern for you, keep that in mind. This one also does not track sleep. That is another con for me. Let's get into the Fitbit. So pros of the Fitbit, lighter on the wrist, like I mentioned. There is way more activity tracking. And I say that in the sense of like, you can go right onto your app and see real time your heart rate, see real time your step. Literally, like that Fitbit girl said, she said that it is an activity tracker with smartwatch capabilities. It is. It is all about tracking your activities and like living a healthy lifestyle. I feel like Fitbit, that is their goal, to help you live a healthy lifestyle. I feel like the Apple Watch is like to have you have a phone on your wrist. Okay, let's see. Oh, I loved on the Fitbit, like on the app, what it was so cool to me was that you can like track your water consumption right there on the app. And I actually used that when I was pregnant. I am a huge water drinker. Like I drink like 6 or 7 of these a day, and this is 22 ounces. And then I have other drinks throughout the day too. But when I was just pregnant this last time with Enzo, for some reason, I just was not super thirsty, so I had to be super conscious about getting my water in. And so I used that actually, like every time I would drink my water, boom, I went and tracked it. And it was good to help kind of remind me of like where I am and how far I was with my water consumption. Absolutely love that, especially if you're someone who struggles with water. It's super easy. There's also a Fitbit community, but I did not ever use that. I do enough of other social media things. I just didn't feel like I wanted to do the Fitbit community page as well. Oh, yes. Okay, so this battery life is so much better than the Apple Watch, like I said. And just as an example, so the Apple Watch I have to charge every single night in order to be able to use it the next day. I went on a trip to Texas just in February of this year. And I think we were there for 7 days, 6 nights, or whatever it was. I didn't even bring my charger. Okay, so I charged my Fitbit like the morning we were leaving, put it on, and I mean, I took it off, I think, like when I showered, but like, what was that, like 10, 15 minutes at a time? Would put it back on. You guys, I came home and this thing was still alive. I kid you not, I didn't even bring my charger, and I think I still had like 13% battery. For almost a week? Whoa. So that's huge. Another thing I really liked about this too is the do not disturb function. So the do not disturb is super nice when you're sleeping. You can just like, whoo, swipe up or swipe over, hit the do not disturb so you don't get notifications overnight, because why would you want to be woken up by your watch overnight? Like, especially when you're trying to track your sleep. Clearly you're someone who cares about how much sleep you're getting. Probably want to put it on do not disturb. So I love that feature. But I'm gonna lead that right into my cons list, because that do not disturb function was also a little irritating because I would forget to turn it back off in the morning. And I know that's like my own responsibility and my own issue. When I'd forget to turn it back on, I would literally go like 2 days and be like, oh, I haven't really checked my phone. And then realize that I had like missed a text message like 2 days prior. And just wasn't paying attention, which if you don't have kids and you're like, how did you not realize you missed a text message? If you have kids in the future, then you'll know. And if you have kids right now, you're like, yeah, I totally get it. Like, I get what you mean. There's my first con, was that do not disturb feature. I also didn't ever really find like a watch face that I liked on here. I found one that I liked like the look of it, but I didn't really like the user friendliness of it. I don't know, very foreign to me, the Fitbit like capabilities. So I just didn't put that much effort into it. I probably could have and found one that I liked, but I just didn't. And I also felt like all of my text message, even if I had the do not disturb feature off and was like getting text messages, I felt like they weren't real time. Like randomly I would go on and look at my notifications and be like, I never saw that come through, or that's from 3 days ago. What? So it just doesn't sync up very well. And it is an Apple, right? So like just all of the look on there isn't my preference for looks on my watch. Okay, so here's how all of this went down. I got my Apple Watch in the fall of 2017. And I got it right when we got back from Thailand. When I got it, I was still like completely working in the fitness industry, like full time. So when I was with a client, it was really nice to be able to see like if a client who was like maybe next texted me and was like, oh, I'm running late, I could just like quickly look at my watch and see that. And then also like changing the song when I was teaching a fitness class, because I would sync right up to my phone and my Pandora or whatever. It was so nice to be able to change a song. I just want to mention too that like, so when I got my Apple Watch, I just like fell in love immediately. I love tracking my activity. I love having that right there, seeing like, oh, my steps, or oh my gosh, my activity minutes, or oh my God, I've only stood for 6 hours today, whatever it is. So I just love that. And even for someone who is so intentionally and consciously active and, you know, always trying to be the healthiest that I can be, it's still nice to have these things, right? Like it's still nice to have some accountability for yourself. I also really like both of the Apple Watch and the Fitbit do this, but like I like the breathe reminders, like even a deep breath, you know, can help you calm down or whatever, or reminding to get up and take steps. I love that both of them do that. So one of my favorite things about this for sure. I want to mention too that like I probably would have never switched from an Apple Watch to a Fitbit if it wasn't for my daughter Olivia being a horrendous sleeper. She was such a bad sleeper. And I started to recognize that like my lack of sleep and sleep deprivation was causing me so many issues. Not only like physically, I was super tired. I was dragging every day. I mean, my posture was terrible. I look back at photos and I have like giant dark bags underneath my eyes. And then emotionally too, like I was quick to snap on people. I was just crabby all of the time. Recognizing all of that just made me realize like I need to be super on top of my sleep for my next kid. So this is when I was pregnant with Enzo. I was like, okay, I need to like do something about this. And my mom has a Fitbit. She tracks her sleep. I've known that she does it. Then I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who has the Fitbit as well. And so she started like actually showing me what her app, like the data and the information that it shared with her about her sleep, tips that it would provide for her. And I was like, oh my gosh, how nice is this? And my full-time job is a health coaching job. And so I talk to people all the time about sleep. So seeing that like, oh my gosh, wow, like all of this data is available for me to be able to use for myself and like create my own experiment with this was super important. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do this. After having that conversation with my girlfriend, probably like a couple days later, I'm like super impulsive. I was like, yep, I'm buying it. So went online, got the Fitbit, ordered. I loved it. Like being able to track my sleep was huge and amazing. The first couple things that I started to recognize about my sleep was that, wow, I was not getting a lot of deep sleep. Mind you, I got this when I was pregnant. So like when you're pregnant, your sleep is just like completely a mess. And I knew that, but then like really seeing it like in data was like, wow, holy crap. So there were nights that I was literally getting 0 minutes of deep sleep when like you should like 15 to 20% of your night should be deep sleep, and mine was 0. Kind of helped me understand like, wow, that's why I'm getting up in the morning after sleeping like 9 or 10 hours at night and still feeling like I was dragging ass. So that was really important to me to then say like, okay, I need to take even more steps to make sure that I'm getting quality deep sleep. I already prioritize my sleep a lot. I prioritize my sleep routines, what I'm doing. The 60 minutes prior to going to bed is super important to me. Waking up at a consistent time in the morning. Like I do all of those things already, but I just had to kind of go double time on that while I was pregnant because I was seeing like, wow, I needed to do more. I absolutely loved that. And then now I'm not pregnant. My son is almost 5 months old at this point, and he is an amazing sleeper, just completely different from Olivia. Now I'm able to get like last night he slept for 10 hours straight. So I was able to get a full night of sleep with absolutely 0 interruptions. Like on nights like that, it's just so interesting now that I'm not pregnant to see like, wow, I'm actually getting like a proper amount of deep sleep. How many little wake ups am I having? So that's like huge. Now, one thing that I will say too that I learned prior to using it, I was like scheduling and planning my sleep to get 8 hours, like go to bed at 10, wake up at 6 to get 8 hours of sleep. Well, I'm recognizing now for me, I have like little micro wake ups or, you know, sometimes waking up with Enzo overnight. And that can accumulate to about an hour to an hour and a half of wake time for me between the time I go to sleep and the time I actually wake up in the morning. If I want to have 8 hours of sleep at night, I plan for 9.5 hours of time of sleep, and that's how I'm gonna get my time, okay? Now that I talk about like how much I absolutely loved that sleep feature, I want to talk about now because I've been back to work now for almost 2 months. I actually started utilizing the Apple Watch again because I was like, okay, I actually kind of like the real-time notifications of everything coming through onto my Apple Watch for work, calls, texts. Like I said, I have an app that I need to utilize for work that comes right through onto my watch. So there was probably like 2 weeks of time where I was like wearing the Apple Watch during the day and then switching to the Fitbit at night to track my sleep. And then after like 2 weeks, I was like, okay, is like really dramatic and a little bit too much. I actually have completely stopped wearing the Fitbit altogether and am just utilizing the Apple Watch. All in all, guys, my thought process and like how I want to move forward is I think I'm gonna gift myself with like the newer version of the Apple Watch because I want to see how the sleep tracking is, and I just want a new one in general. This one's like pretty dang slow, but I've been using it for 5 years, so it's clearly outdated. I do not regret getting the Fitbit because it just showed me how much I value that sleep tracking capability, and I'm gonna keep it. I thought about like selling it, but I think I'm gonna keep it, compare and contrast if I get the new Apple Watch to see how the sleep tracking capabilities kind of work in comparison to each other. So maybe I'll do another wrap-up video of that. But yeah, if you have any questions that maybe I left out, feel free to comment below, or you can find me on Instagram, and just let me know too if there's other things that you'd like to see from me here on YouTube. Let me know. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel as well. I will see you all soon.